Welcome back to CBS 10. Let's turn our attention now to the Republicans. And joining me for discussion of that are Steve Chigueras and Leslie Sanchez, once more from Greenville, South Carolina. So I think the question some people might have, there you are in Greenville, where the CBS GOP debate is going to be on Saturday night, and yet Donald Trump isn't there in South Carolina. He's in Louisiana. Tell us about Donald Trump and the expectation there for him in South Carolina. Let's start with you, Leslie.
Sure. Massive amount of support, energy for Donald Trump. There's no doubt about it. He's certainly the front runner. Bigger issue is what's happening with the Bush family here and that fight again for second place. You have a very strong Bush dynasty that has very long tentacles in the state, and they're bringing out all their arsenal. They've got George W. Bush arriving. People are, not only is he arriving in the state from a media perspective, but they got the ground war covered too, in the email box, in direct mail. It's really a big push to a very strong constituency that's been loyal to them and a firewall to them going back to their father, 1988. So that's a big dynamic. Ted Cruz has been coming out with numerous emails saying that he's getting a big PAC attack against him, talking about his policies, and now you're even seeing the Twitter war between Trump and Cruz, you know, who's lying to who, and Rubio is somewhere in that mix. So it is a very fluid dynamic right now. A lot of people excited, but one thing is true. People are ready for that debate. All eyes are going to be watching on the dynamic, who's going to falter, who's going to sail through. And I think Trump realizes he's in the lead. He doesn't want to take a lot of hits. He's just going to kind of keep moving and let the fight happen almost in that second tier.
Yeah, Steve, how do you see the political landscape there on the Republican side in South Carolina?
Well, it's interesting that Leslie just mentioned Trump. I mean, he had a negative ad running against Cruz and pulled it and replaced it with a positive ad. So I think he's playing a little prevent defense here in South Carolina. I'm always fascinated by South Carolina because you have so much effort spent on by these candidates on Iowa and New Hampshire, months and months and months of time spent catering to the voters or caucus goers in Iowa and the voters in New Hampshire. And then all of a sudden they wake up and realize, oh, wow, there's 10 days to South Carolina. And there's this scurrying among all the candidates to try to set a narrative between now and voting, which is on February 20th. So you've got results from New Hampshire. You've got Trump, who's riding a wave of momentum, having won in New Hampshire. You've got Cruz, who won in Iowa but didn't do so well in New Hampshire. So he's trying to remind people here in a much more conservative evangelical state that I'm still here. You want to vote for me? And then you got people like Bush and Kasich. Kasich had a good showing in New Hampshire, saying, "Hey, I should be part of this conversation." Bush, who came in fourth, saying, "I need to be part of this conversation." And Rubio, who came in a strong third in Iowa, but wound up coming in fifth in New Hampshire, saying, I got to revive my candidacy here. So you have all these storylines going on over the course of 10 days, with our debate coming up in 2 days that's going to help set the stage for all this. It's just a fascinating time to be watching this campaign, and really fascinating because whatever happens here really will set the narrative and the debate for what happens coming after February 20th.
Yeah, I can't wait for Saturday. It's going to be so interesting to see. Leslie, who needs to do what on Saturday night at the debate?
Well, we need to see who's going to go after Marco Rubio and try to put the fork in it, so to speak. You know, there's been some really interesting email back and forth with the new modern social conservatives and the Christian conservatives, the evangelical movement, who are launching this culture war that are saying, look, we like Marco Rubio, but we don't think he can go the distance, so let's put all of our support behind one good candidate, and that looks like it's going to be Ted Cruz. I'm sure that's infuriating to the Rubio campaign, who needs those dollars and needs that base kind of door-to-door grassroots support. He needs to really show he has not only the capacity to lead, but that he can shake it off. We talked about that a lot, and really look like he has a command of the issues and is ready to move forward. I think Governor Jeb Bush is putting everything, again, their firewall is South Carolina like it has been for decades, and he has to show a robust contrast to Donald Trump. He is a seasoned professional who's a better alternative than Kasich. It's all coming down to, are you the Trump or the anti-Trump candidate? If you think 60% of the establishment does not want Trump, then these individuals really need to start coalescing. People need, or otherwise, it's exactly what Steve's talking about. You can look at that momentum of Donald Trump continuing past South Carolina and just moving through Super Tuesday. That's the biggest concern. Can some of these individuals start to say, let's get real about this? Who's it going to be? And you even have now Senator Rubio talking about a brokered convention. Like, let's just skip all this and get to the summer. It's going to be hard to see these candidates agree on who should move forward.
Okay, quick final thoughts here.
It's fascinating, really.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was just saying, it's fascinating to watch all the different fights that are going on here in South Carolina. So you have Trump versus Cruz, 1 versus 2, right? But then you have people like Rubio and Jeb Bush not only going after each other for that anti-Trump Cruz vote, but they're also going after Trump and Cruz as well to try to knock them down a peg. And it's just sort of interesting to see how they're positioning themselves. The two biggest voting blocks here among Republicans in South Carolina, the evangelical voters and very conservative voters. And you're hearing shades of it in each of these people, how they're talking. Marco Rubio talking about Donald Trump's offensive language and how you don't talk about this kind of thing. You don't teach your kids this in church. You know, the fact that he mentions church is just sort of very interesting because 64% of people who voted in the Republican primary in 2012 identified as evangelical. So you look at all these little hints and where these people are trying to pick up votes along the line, and it's just fascinating to watch over the next 10 days how they're trying to just gain a little bit of an edge to try to get some more votes.
Right, so much to look forward to. All right, Steve and Leslie in Greenville, thank you so much.